Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Big Games Weekly Rewind. That's right, it's your boy Big Game James, host of Big Game Sports Buzz. And this week, the Buff Nerd and I were not able to get together to bring you our newest edition of Big Game Sports Buzz. So, Big Game James decided to bring you a weekly rewind of some of the things that's hot in sports world right now. First and foremost, if you've never been here, thank you for joining. And if you've been here but haven't done so, please make sure that you hit that thumbs up, like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you know every single time that I'm dropping brand new content. I was supposed to drop something on my Big Games Pewter Perspective this week, but I said that I'm just going to wait and throw it in here in Games Weekly Rewind. So first and foremost, kicking off this first down, it's going to be the struggles of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have gone on a 2-game skid after facing the Baltimore Ravens on a Monday night and this past Sunday against division foe Atlanta Falcons. And there's a lot of rumblings going on in the Tampa Bay area right now, and people are not happy. And first and foremost, who do you want to blame? And there's a lot of people blaming a lot of different people. But me personally, I'm looking back at the last 2 games. Baker Mayfield has 700 yards passing, 6 touchdowns. And it sounds amazing when you say 700 yards and 6 touchdowns. But he has 4 interceptions. He's turned the ball over at some critical times, making it hard to overcome. And let's face it, the Baltimore game was a lot more out of hand than what it ended up looking like a 10-point game at the end. We lose Chris Godwin with a dislocated ankle. Mike Evans gets hurt in the first quarter after the touchdown that he had with the hamstring. He's day-to-day, week-to-week, not knowing when he's going to be back, and we got to get ready for a tough one. I like the way Baker Mayfield's playing. I do like the stats that he has, but also looking at what Bucky Irvin has done as a running back, I do want to see some more carries. I want to see things go. But the biggest problem to me right now also is the defense. We seem to not have a real true identity with our defense right now. We've had some good sack production in the last 2 games, 9 sacks in the last 2 games, getting after the quarterback a little bit, but the big plays that were given up in the air. And I know we have injuries going on. And I think this past game was Tyke Smith left the game with the concussion protocol, different things going on. Antoine Winfield Jr. made a hell of a play, knocking the ball out of Kyle Pitts' hands before he crossed the goal line. Didn't get the call. But I don't want to sit there and make excuses about the calls we did or didn't get. At the end of the day, your defense has to find a way to make the plays they need to get off the field. And Kirk Cousins this year has just looked like a Hall of Fame type quarterback against us. First game, we played the Falcons over 500 yards passing. This past game, 276 yards passing and 4 touchdowns. That has got to get under control on the back end. We did get some pressure, so we can't sit there and say that he had all day to throw, but different plays in the secondary wasn't made. Todd Bowles' scheme didn't seem to be as great as it usually is. And so it leads me to ask the question, is it time for Todd Bowles to go in Tampa? And I throw that out there because if you look at a lot of these Buccaneer groups that I'm a part of all over social media, a lot of people are calling for Bowles' job. But I do think that it's still an overreaction to have the players that you have right now, different people being hurt, injured, and in and out of the lineup. I don't think it's time to panic on Bowles just yet. I really don't. I believe Todd Bowles has done a good job with this team, and some people will argue with me and say that that's not so. It's hard to follow Bruce Arians, and it's also hard to follow a quarterback like Tom Brady when he leaves. Baker Mayfield is starting to come into his own, but yes, he does have to take care of the ball. We can't have these turnovers that he's had the last couple of weeks. Can't take the sacks, can't get the ball stripped out, can't throw the interceptions. I do know this. and it seems like an easy fix. This last week, Bucky Irving didn't have enough carries. Rashad White, not enough carries. We have got to take some of the pressure off of Baker, run the ball more, and then open up some play action. Liam Cohen, you've done a pretty good job for the most part all year. Execution of when you call some of these plays will need to get better going into this next week. And let's face it, y'all, Monday Night Football coming up, Kansas City Chiefs, Pat Mahomes. We know we have our hands full. And not to mention, Travis Kelce decided to finally get going last week in their win. And you got to think they're playing at home. It's Monday night. The stage is big. Chris Jones scares me on the defensive side of the ball. And we've got to find a way to make sure we can work him. I'm not as afraid of their receivers. I mean, they had to go out and get D-Hop. They're scrambling back there. If we can put some pressure, and if is a big word, I know that. Let's put some pressure on Pat Mahomes, make him uncomfortable, because I don't care what anyone says. The Chiefs are winning. They're right now probably the best team in football because of their record, but their execution this year has not been as good as it has been in the past few seasons. So I do like the Buccaneers' chance. I'm going to give you a game's pewter perspective pregame prediction and 3 keys to victory later on this week before the game comes on Monday night. And we'll see how that goes. But Baker Mayfield, take care of the ball. Let's slow up the interceptions. Continue to sling that thing around the field. But Liam Cohen, let's incorporate a little bit more run as well to make life a little bit easier for Baker Mayfield. Other big news that's going on, second down for me today, is one that I got a lot of text messages about because it's a guy that plays for my other former team, and that is Anthony Richardson of the Indianapolis Colts. I know you guys are all over the news and sports of what's going on, so this isn't news, big news anymore, or it's not hot news, but it's still news nonetheless. Anthony Richardson tapped out of the game last week for one play, but nevertheless, his stat line in that game wasn't good at all. So we know Anthony Richardson has to get better. But I think part of that comes down to personnel as well. The Colts knew what they were getting when they drafted Richardson because of how much success he had in college at Florida, how much experience he had. I do believe that. But nevertheless, he said he was tired. He said he didn't think he could go, and he took himself out of the game. As a defensive player in professional locker room, you look over to certain guys on your offense, and you know who your leaders are. And it doesn't always have to be vocal leader to be a leader. But your quarterback position, whether they're young, old, or whatever, you're always going to look at your quarterback as the guy that's got to be ready to go and ready to lead by example. Example of your work ethic, example of your toughness. And Anthony Richardson showed that he may have been mentally incapable of overcoming a tough situation. Now, is it fair to say that this is the reason the Colts are benching him? We don't know the whole reason. They just said that production-wise, they're going to go to Joe Flacco. And I'm like, old-ass Joe Flacco is going to get the call over Richardson, this young quarterback. But to Flacco's defense, he is the reigning comeback player of the year from taking over for Deshaun Watson last year in Cleveland. So I guess I won't be totally mad about that. But I believe it says a lot about a person's character or how their team is going to perceive them. I'll rewind that. Forgive me. It's called Games Weekly Rewind. Anthony Richardson, I'm not going to question your character, but it does make me question your mental toughness and your ability to lead right now. So maybe this benching happening will be the best thing for Richardson to go work on some mental toughness, continue to polish things up in that QB number 2 role in practice, maybe even get some scout team reps just to get more throws and everything else so that you can come out and be a little bit better. Because if you look at just these past 2 games, one against Houston, the other one against the Dolphins, last week against the Texans, 10 of 32, 175 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. The week before that, 10 of 24 for 129 yards. No TDs, no interceptions. Just not a lot going on while Richardson is out on the field. So you see, while the Colts might make the change. But the question that I've had a couple of people ask me that I want to bring to you, the viewers, is Richardson still the future of the Indianapolis Colts? Or is it time for the Colts to pivot and find another plan? Now, he's only in his second year, missed his first season with the injury. This technically is like a rookie year for him. And it's a little bit of a roller coaster. It's up and down. But something scary that I heard on TV this morning is that right now, the one quarterback that he's most comparable to from what he's done on the field is former Oakland Raiders #1 pick Jamarcus Russell. And I don't think anyone that plays that position wants to ever have that comparison. Can Anthony Richardson bounce back and be the quarterback the Colts drafted him to be? Or is he just a modern day Jamarcus Russell? Damn. Big question. Big thoughts. Is he a modern day Jamarcus Russell? And for a lot of you young people, if you don't know who Jamarcus Russell is, look him up. Look at his stats. Check out his podcast on with Ryan Clark and the guys on the Pivot, because he defends a lot of what went on and blames a lot of other people for what he did or didn't do in his career. But just looking at the numbers, if that's what you're going to get tagged with, I mean, your career is going to be over before it even starts, Anthony Richardson. I think that the kid has talent, but at the same time, I was one of the first people that said that I don't know if that would have been my pick if I was the Colts, because he didn't have a whole lot of body of work at the University of Florida. That's just me. Because let's face it, the NFL drafts these quarterbacks saying what they're going to do, yet they're not developing quarterbacks because coaches are such a hurry to win. I mean, look at Peyton Manning when he was with the Colts as a rookie. Stats weren't great. Interceptions were high. But because they knew that was the future, they stuck with Peyton, let him work through those growing pains, and helped him get better. They did the same thing with Andrew Luck. So why are they not now willing to do the same thing with Anthony Richardson? Is it because things like the coach thinks that he might be on the hot seat if he doesn't win right away, and that Flacco's going to give him the best chance to win? Or does he not see the ability of Anthony Richardson to become a franchise quarterback after seeing what he's done and the amount of games he's played? I don't think that he's had a fair shake amount of games to be judged on for a career or what he might become. But for this season, I believe him taking himself out. I think he lost respect to some of the people on that staff and some of the players in that locker room. And the coaches are making a change to see how it can change and be different with Flacco leading. That's just what I believe. You know, if you believe differently, let me know what you think. It's hard to say what's going on without being in there and talking to people in that front office. But I know it wasn't a good look. And no matter what, if you were that tired, Anthony Richardson, audible to a check down, to a run play, hand the ball off. To me, there's no point in time unless you dead, about to die and something's broke, that a quarterback should really take themselves out the game if they're capable of audibling to a handoff. You just can't ask to come out. You cannot ask to come out in that position because it makes you look weak. Nonetheless, that's over and done with. I don't need to beat a dead horse with that. Like I said, you guys knew what was going on. You've seen it. It's not brand news, but it's still being talked about today, and it happened almost a week ago. It's crazy. Anthony Richardson taps out. He's being benched. Joe Flacco is going to get the start. We got to see what happens, and I'm going to pray that Anthony Richardson does not become Jamarcus Russell. No offense, Jamarcus. I know you're not watching this anyway, but it is what it is. Third down. Oh, Hail Mary, no. Yeah, that's right. Buffner and I do a segment called Oh, Hell Nah. And I know if we would have done a show this week, this would have made, the Washington Commanders Chicago Bears game. The end of that game was amazing. Caleb Williams is looking like he has a promising future as a quarterback for the Chicago Bears and leading that drive the way he did to get the Bears ahead, to think that they were going to win the game, to just see Jaden Daniels and the Commanders go out there, make a few plays, and things change. A Hail Mary, we all know what a Hail Mary is. Ball thrown up, you're praying for a great outcome, and the Commanders got it. But the thing that got me the most, and thanks to all the posts that happened so fast on X, because as I'm watching the game and as it's going off, and my boys and I are talking about it, I'm going to X and I'm seeing something I couldn't really see during the live shot. And that's defensive back Tyreek Stevenson over looking at the crowd, clowning while the ball is snapped. Has to run over from where he was, try to get in the middle of the play, jumps up, actually tips the ball. Great catches made. Commanders win. Now, I'm not putting it all on Tyreek Stevenson because Jaden Daniels makes a great throw prior to get them a little bit closer to make that last throw an easier throw. We all saw that. We know that. But to start that level of celebration, to be that far out of position, for the receivers to be running down the field and the play starting, and you're not even in position that you're supposed to be, is a big oh hell no. Because Tyreek Stevenson, if you're in position and get there and where you're supposed to be prior to, you may actually bat the ball down opposed to getting over there late and just tipping it back. So I know a lot of Commanders fans are thanking you for being a young player and making a young player mistake. Something so dumb. But a lot of people are saying it's not his fault. It was holding on the play and everything else. No one sees the holding. Everyone sees the clowning of the defensive back, the late entry into the play, the tip, and the reception. So shout out to Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders, because right now Jaden Daniels is being talked about for MVP consideration by a lot of people. Now, is he going to win the league MVP? I don't think so. But just to be a rookie and be in that conversation is amazing right now. Can't believe that's happening, and happy for him and what's going on. So we'll see, because clearly going into this season, I don't know if anyone would have had the Commanders pegs for being one of the top teams in the NFC East. All the delusional Cowboys fans said it was going to be them, and then maybe the Eagles. And the Eagles right there in the top, but the Commanders have a great chance of winning this thing, and they can't be counted out. And that's an amazing feat. Kind of switching gears a little bit, we're going to cross over to the NBA. See how I did that? Corny. Crossover. I know. Talk bad about me in the comments. I don't care. My fourth and final down. The Milwaukee Bucks are off to a slow start and struggling. That's right. Milwaukee Bucks are 1-4 on the season, and everyone's talking how they think Giannis Antetokounmpo could walk at the end of this season. A lot of people say they don't know why why Giannis stayed in such a small market, and the Bucks aren't doing a lot to help him out. To combat that, the Bucks went out and got Damian Lillard, made some other moves. They get rid of their coach last year abruptly, I believe, and they bring in Doc Rivers. And we've had this conversation before, and I would love to know what you think. Is Doc Rivers the answer as coach to help the Bucks get back on track? Now it's early, but 82 game season, and we're just talking about the first 5 games of the season. So I'm not saying the Bucks are completely out, but just the way things have been looking, it looks kind of crazy and rough. The one win they have was against the Chicago Bulls, which we know not a great team. So these records here, I had it pulled up, and it is tripping on me right now. Sorry, I'm gonna pull it up and look at these scores. And the shooting of Dame Lillard last night did not look good at all. Although he's averaging over 20 some points a game right now. But last night did not look good at all. And it's just like, whoa, what is going on? To where they're talking about Giannis wanting to leave already. That's bad business. So last night against the Grizzlies, they lost 122-99. Against the Celtics, they lost 119-108. The Nets, they lose 115-102. I take that back. The Bulls beat them 133-122. It's the 76ers. They got to win against 124-109. And the 76ers, don't want to talk about them. They're dumpster fire altogether. How the hell Paul George and Joel Embiid have to load management the first damn game of the season of the NBA? That was an old hell no within itself. But you bring in Lillard. You have a star player, Giannis. Chris Middleton is still injured and hurt. Not sure when he's coming back or how he's going to be when he comes back. What do the Milwaukee Bucks need to be a team that can compete in the East and dominate or get back to championship contention? Because right now, even though it's early in my eyes, I don't see them being a contender or being good enough to beat the Boston Celtics when it comes down to a 7-game series. So I still think that the Celtics are the best team in the East, most definitely, even maybe the best team in the NBA. Totally interesting to see. Got to keep my eye on this. Like I said, just a basketball fan, a football player that's a basketball fan. So my eyes are always going to be on what's going on in the NBA. And next week, the Buff Nerd and I will be back on Big Game Sports Buzz for episode 140. If you haven't seen the show before, please make sure that you check it out with our Oh Hell Nah segment, our top 5, and usually our 4 downs. You can hit that link below in the description and go back to BGSE Network, hit that Big Game Sports Buzz playlist, or you can also find the show Big Game Sports Buzz on YouTube as well and check us out. Again, if you haven't done so, please make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell so you know every time that we're dropping brand new content. So for my boy, the Buff Nerd, this is Big Game James. Until next time, thanks for tuning in to Big Games Weekly Rewind.